Only when we have a efficient usage of non-functionality of a software, then only we can get the efficient result in terms of functional testing. Large input data in order to check the load ability or capability of the particular software. That kind of testing is considered as what? Load testing. When the user is using a software, then how efficiently it is working, then we are going to call that kind of testing as what? Usability testing. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. Welcome back to the session 2 of Unit 4 of B.Ca's 6th semester, subject called Software Engineering. I'm Rohini TS, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So before getting into our today's session, we'll just have a quick recap of my previous session. So in the previous session of this unit, we have discussed regarding the taxonomy of software testing. So as we all know that, what do you mean by software testing here? It's a process of evaluating and checking the correctness, or we are evaluating the specifications of a software, whether it is working as per the requirement of a customer or not. That is what software testing. And also we got to know regarding the levels of software testing, right? In that we have a functional level as well as we have a non-functional level. So amongst that, we have discussed regarding the functional level of software testing. So when we are checking for the functionality of the software specification, then we are going to call that kind of specification testing is functional testing. And also I have discussed regarding what you mean by unit testing integration as well as system testing, and also we got to know regarding acceptance testing, and also I have discussed regarding alpha as well as beta testing. So in our today's session, we'll move to the non-functional testing, and also we'll see what are the types we have when it comes to the non-functional testing. Let me get into the session that is with respect to non-functional testing. So when it comes to the functional, so in the functional, there we are going to check about the specification or functionality of a software or a product, whether it is working properly or its functionality is finely working. So when it comes to the non-functional testing, so here this non-functional testing will going to deal with the non-functionality of a software or a system, though it is very important or mandatory that needs to be satisfied. So only when we have a efficient usage of non-functionality of a software, then only we can get the efficient result in terms of functional testing. So in order to improve or to enhance the functionality of a software, this non-functional testing and also what are the elements which comes under non-functional things is also going to be important. So here when it comes to non-functional testing, that involves the testing of a software from the requirements which are non-functional in nature. So here whatever the elements are a requirement we have, that is non-functional. So we know what is functional and non-functional. Here we are concerning about the non-functional elements of a software, but very important, like in that it may include performance, security as well as user interface. So all these are the integral part of functionality of a software, right? So though we can't leave all these things, so if I left what performance or if I leave security, then there will be no efficiency in the software at all. So it is necessary to work with both functionality as well as to the non-functionality of a software. And also here you can see that we have some of the non-functional testing here that include performance testing, load testing, stress testing, and also we have a usability testing and security testing. Along with that, at last we have a portability testing. So we'll see each type of testing one by one now. So first we have regarding performance testing. How we are going to test the performance of a software, on what criteria we have to say this is working properly or this performance of this software is efficient or effective. We'll see now. It is used to identify any bottlenecks or performance issues rather than finding the bugs in a software. So here our concern is what? Regarding what is the risk or what is the performance of a software or a product. Here we are not concerning about what are the bugs or what are the errors that we are getting in a software. So main concern is what? Though we have errors, though we have less errors or more errors, whether it is working properly or not. What is its performance? What is its potentiality? We are checking its bottleneck. What is its risk? And what about this performance issues? So what we are facing which is related to the performance of a software. In order to find that, we are going to use this performance testing. And also why this performance will going to be degraded, we have certain reasons for that may related to what? Network delay. There could be network delays or network issues could be there. So that is also one of the fact which will going to affect the performance of a software. And also client side processing, they don't know how to use it, or there is no response from the client side. That could also be a situation here. And database transaction processing, if it is taking much time in order to fetch the content whatever we have in the database. And also load balancing between the servers. If server is unable to manage the load between the servers or different servers, then that is also one of the causes in order to reduce the performance of a software. And also data rendering. So if it is taking much time to load that data, then we can say that as a data rendering. So all these are the causes which will going to reduce the performance of a software. So in order to improve that, we have to improve all these causes. Then only we can improve the performance of a software. So next, in this performance testing, considered as one of the important, why it will be considered as one of the important testing? Mainly in order to check the performance of a software. So when we are delivering any of the product or a project or a software to the customer, at that time they bother about their performance of a software. Then what are the features we have in order to say this software whatever is delivered to the customer is having higher performance or giving higher performance. It will be based on the speed, that is what is its response time. For example, if I am using any of the application to add 2 plus 3, if it is taking 5 minutes, are we going to use that? No, right? It has to be takes place. That means the response time whatever we have should be less. Then only we can go with that. So here when it comes to that, we have a speed here that can be response time or data rendering and accessing. How fastly we are able to access that content. That is what related to speed. And its capacity. What is the maximum load that it is capable of taking. And also we have a stability as well as scalability. We have to measure the performance in terms of it, memory space taking as well as time taking. Based on the time and memory complexity, we can check or we can scale its performance. And also can be either qualitative or quantitative. So here this performance testing can be either qualitative or quantitative. I can say this in the terms of numbers. So what is the data speed, what is the response time, or else we can take that in the terms of high, medium, low. That is also qualitative. So it can be both qualitative as well as quantitative. And what are the types of performance testing we have? So that includes load testing and also we have a stress testing here. We'll see what you mean by load testing here. So this process of testing the behavior of a software by applying maximum load in terms of software accessing and manipulating large input data. We are checking its load, right? We are checking what is its maximum capacity to hold or to store the large amount of data. For example, if I am building any of the software for the addition purpose, at the time I have to check up to what number it is capable of adding. If I am giving 20 numbers to add, then how much time it is taking. If I am giving 20,000 numbers, then what is its capacity, whether it is capable of adding that numbers or not, that we have to check. So we are checking the maximum load. By applying the maximum load, we are checking its efficiency of a software. That can be with related to what manipulating, doing some updation or maintenance or doing some changes. Along with that, we have to give large input data in order to check the load ability or a capability of the particular software. That kind of testing is considered as what? Load testing. And also it can be done at both normal and peak load conditions. So we can give that maximum load at the time of peak load as well as to the normal. And also this type of testing is identifies the maximum capacity of the software and its behavior at peak time. So when we have more customer at the hotel, that will be considered as what? Peak time. So during lunch hour like 1 to 2, at the time it will be of peak. So what is its performance or how that performance will going to be enhanced, whether it is degrading when it is reached to the maximum load or when they are in the peak time. That is what we have to check here mainly in order to identify the maximum capability of a software and its behavior at that maximum capability. Then we are going to call that as what? Load testing. So next what we have, in this load testing, most of the time load testing is performed with the help of some of the automated tool. How we are going to test the load of a particular software? Like if I wanted to find the load capability of a particular software, we have to use some automated tools or a software. So what are those? Here we have a load runner to specify the maximum capability of a software, and also we have a app loader, IBM rational performance tester, and we have a Apache JMeter, and also we have a Silk performer, and then we have a Visual Studio load test. So these are the different tools we have in order to check the load of a particular software, capability of that software with respect to the maximum load and the maximum number of input. And also here we have a virtual user or V users are defined in the automated testing tool, and the script is executed to verify the load testing for the software. So here we are going to use virtual user. That is also one of the useful tool in order to find the load capability of a particular software. And also the number of users can be increased or decreased concurrently or incrementally based upon the requirement. So in order to test this load, maximize or we can minimize the number of user, and also we can increment or decrement this concurrently use of a particular software in order to check its load capability. This is regarding load testing. Next what we have, second type, that is regarding stress testing. So as the name indicates, stress is regarding what? That includes the testing the behavior of a software under abnormal condition. So if it is everything is fine, then the usage of that software or working condition of that software will also going to be fine. How this will going to behave at the time of abnormal condition? Then we are going to check that capability or ability of a software at the time of when the situation or a condition is not normal. Then we are going to call that kind of testing as a stress testing. So for example, it may include taking away some resources or applying a load beyond the actual load limit. So number of seat limits for a car is 5. Then if I am trying to push 50 members in that, how it will going to capable of handling all those situations. So when a software is not in a normal condition, when its performance or working is not under the normal situations or a condition, how it will going to manage that stress? Then we are going to call that kind of testing as stress testing. And also here a main aim why it is necessary to do this stress testing, we have to check its potentiality. I have to get to know like what is the potentiality of a software. If I am giving 20,000 numbers in order to add instead of giving 20 numbers, potentiality in order to check how it is able to manage that much of load. And also here main aim of stress testing is to test the software by applying the load to the system. We have to apply beyond the load or beyond the range of a load to the particular software system and taking over the resources used by the software to identify the breaking point. So in between I am going to turn it off the system, or in between power connection will going to be disconnected, and some internet issues will going to happen, database may not be working properly. So if I am giving all those scenarios for the software, then how potential it is, how efficiently working it is, in order to find that we are going to have this stress testing. And also we can perform this stress testing by giving some scenarios or by having some issues. So intentionally we are having that issues in order to test the potentiality of a particular software. It can be what? Shutdown or restart of network post randomly. So when we are switching on, switching off the cable connection or network connection, how it is going to react for that. That is what we are checking here. And also turning the database on or off. So if it is accessing the content, if it is displaying the content, at the time I am going to disconnect the database connectivity. So if you are doing that, then how it is able to manage all those scenarios and running the different processes that consumes the resources. So we have to run other processes which will going to consume the CPU or any other resources of a computer like memory, server. So if we are doing all these things, or if we are performing all these kind of issues, at the time how the system or a software is capable of handling all those abnormal conditions, then we are finding the what correctness or potentiality or efficiency of a software or a system. That kind of testing is called stress testing here. So that's all regarding what performance testing. So next we have a usability testing. When the user is using a software, then how efficiently it is working. Then we are going to call that kind of testing as what? Usability testing. So it's a black box technique and it is used to identify any errors and improvements in the software by observing the user through their usage and operation. So when the user are using that particular software, when they are performing some of the operations with the help of that software, at the time we are simply observing that what are the errors they are facing. So if they are giving 20 numbers for the addition, is it working properly? If they are giving 40 numbers in order to add, whether it is working properly or not, that is what we are just observing the user with their usability of a software and how they are using and what the performance or operation they are doing. Then if they are doing so, then how the system is behaving at that time. If you are checking that, then we are going to call that as a usability testing. So here you can see that as per the Nelson, the usability can be defined in the terms of 5 factors. A person called Nelson has given some 5 factors in order to check the usability of a software. So it might include efficiency of use and also learnability and memoriability, errors or safety and satisfaction. So based on these factors, if it is satisfying all these factors, then we can say that this is in the proper working condition. So when we are using a software, it is giving its performance or it is giving its functionality in a well manner. So that according to him, the usability of a product will be good. So when we can say this product is on condition, then the system is usable if it is possesses the above factor, if it is satisfying efficiency of use, learnability, it has a memory ability to hold much data, and if it is capable of handling errors and safety related things, and it is satisfying the requirement of a customer, then we can say that this is what good product in order to use. This is regarding usability testing. So next we have some difference between the UI, that is what user interface, between this usability testing. So when it comes to the user interface testing, that is mainly how the software is looking to the user. Like it may relate it to the color, font or face, whatever we are using as elements in order to interact with the system. That is what we are going to call that as a UI or a user interface, right? So here we are checking or testing the graphical user interface of the software. So then why this UI testing or user interface testing is important? What it ensures mainly that the GUI functions, that means graphical user functions, according to the requirement. It needs to be according to the requirement of a customer. So if you are having only plain text in a WhatsApp, are we going to use that? That means Instagram or any of the social media account you just take as an example. So if it is only of text without any images or emojis or any videos or any other reels, if you don't have, are we supposed to going to use all those kind of applications? Somehow it will going to be bored, right? So in order to satisfy the requirement, it is necessary to have a GUI, that is graphical user interface. It must be very attractive and user friendly to the user. So based on that, testing the functionality of that GUI, and also we are testing in the terms of color. So if it is what bright color or light color, it is compatible for the eye condition. That is what we are checking here, and also with respect to alignment and size of a text, image, videos, audios, and along with other properties. So based on that, we are checking the UI, that is UI or GUI testing. Then what about this usability testing here? Mainly it ensures a good and user-friendly GUI. So here it specifies in the GUI testing, that specifies how it needs to be. Then how it is working will going to be specified in the usability testing. So if I am specifying color, size and shape of a characters or shape of a text, whatever we are using, so that will going to be specified in the UI testing. How it is working, what are its compatibility, that I will be checking in the usability testing. How they have used in a software, that is what we are checking here. So we can consider this UI testing or user interface testing as a sub part of this usability testing. So this UI comes under this usability testing. So these are the difference between user interface as well as with the usability testing. So next here we have a security testing. So you just imagine, are you ready to use any of the social media account? if it is not including any credential like login along with a password. So if it is password free and no need to give a password, you can log in whenever you want. You can log in to any other person's account. You can just change the content of others' account. Are we going to use that kind of software? No, right? Main concern of using a software is all about we require a privacy. So there our concern is regarding security for the software. So here it is necessary to test the security of a software, what and all it is providing. So it involves the testing a software in order to identify any flaws. Do we have any mistakes here? Do we have any security issues here? And the gaps from the security and vulnerability point of view. So we have to concern the software whether it is vulnerable to some attacks or is there any gap from the security team and is including any of the flaws or mistakes or any of the non-security issues it has. So that and all we have to check. So here you can see that we have some of the main aspects which comes under security testing. So here we have more number of aspects which will come under security testing. So mainly we all concerned regarding this confidentiality, then integrity, along with that authentication, availability, authorization, non-repudiation, and also we have a software is secure against known or unknown vulnerabilities. So simply we can't give every credential to known persons also. There might be a chances of misusing the data. So it needs to be available. That means software needs to be capable of securing the system against even known and unknown vulnerabilities. And also software data is secure and software is according to all the security regulation. They have to follow some standards in order to provide a security and input checking and validation. Without authenticating your login ID and password, will it going to allow you to log in for that? No, right? They have to check for the input and they have to validate. Only verification and validation both are correct, then only it will going to allow us to use that. And SQL insertion attacks. So if it is simply inserting some of the values without any of the restriction, then that is also one of the security threat. And also we have a injection flaws, session management issues, and cross-site scripting attacks, buffer overflows, vulnerabilities, and directory traversal attacks. So these are the aspects which need to be concentrated when it comes to the security testing. So next, what kind of testing we have? That is portability testing. So here we have a portability testing. So you just imagine, since you born, you are in the MYSURU itself. So somehow you are homesick, you don't want it to go anywhere. So if all of a sudden, if you are shifting to Delhi or any other country or any other place than your native, then how you are going to adjust to that environment and how you are going to behave, like what are the things that you are going to face. That kind of testing, if you are doing on the software, then I can say that as what? Portability testing. When we are shifting a software from one computer system to another computer system, one platform to another platform, how it is working. So we are checking its non-functionality as well as we are checking its functionality along with the performance. How it will going to behave when we do the changes with respect to the environment or to the platform or to any other computer system. So mainly portability testing include testing a software with the aim to ensure its reusability and that is can be moved from. So listen, here it will be from moved from one software to another software. So when I'm using WhatsApp in my mobile, if I wanted to change mobile, at that time if I'm changing the content from one mobile to another mobile, how that WhatsApp will going to behave. That means whether it is capable of loading all the previous messages, images and all, and how it is going to perform or to operate. That is all we are checking here. That is what portability testing. So you can consider some of the strategies that can be used for portability testing. So it may include transferring an installed software from one computer to another computer. So if you are transferring the software from one computer to another computer, or if you are changing its environment or a platform. So building executable file .exe file to run the software on different platform. So is WhatsApp is going to say I'm not going to work in what Android phones, I'm just going to work in Mac OS. Is that the thing? No, right? If it is of platform independence, at the time it has a capability of portability. So that in order to ensure all those scenarios, we have to have this portability testing. So in this portability testing, so mainly this includes overall testing of a software with respect to its usage over different environment, how it is going to operate or what is its functionality when we are changing its environment from its actual one to another environment. And also you can see here computer hardware, operating system or OS and browsers are the major focus of portability testing. How the browser is working when it is any of the processor, when it reaches to any other processor, will it going to accept all the kind of guidelines, will it going to work as per the requirement of a customer along with the operating system and some of the hardware, how it is managing its environment or how it is capable of or compatible with any other platform or a environment, that and all we are checking here. And also we have some of the preconditions for portability testing. So here, in order to change the environment of particular software from one environment to another environment, or if you wanted to share or install the software from one platform to another platform by the computer, then these are some of the preconditions that needs to be satisfied here. Software should be designed and coded keeping in mind that portability requirement. Mainly it needs to be platform independent, then only it is capable of having this portability. Mainly it needs to be what? Platform independent. Platform independent, then only we can expect this portability. And unit testing has been performed on the associated components. So we have to check each unit. If it is migrated to any other computer system, will it be okay or able to perform as well as before. And also integration testing needs to be performed and test environment has been established. After testing all the kind of testing on a particular software, then we have to make ensures that it is capable or it is having some portability requirement. Then only we can do this portability testing. This is all regarding today's session. I hope you all understood this non-functional testing methodology. And in my coming session, we'll see what are the methods we have when it comes to the software testing. Let me meet you in the next session. Until that, keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you.